Good morning! Today's Read Aloud story is The Penguin Who Wanted to Fly. The last 3 days we read about animals and worms and frogs, and the first one was about bunnies getting into the garden. But now we're going to go to penguins that live in the Arctic, right? And I like this story because it teaches me something. So we're going to read it. We don't know what's going to happen, so we have to sing our song. Are you ready? We're going on a journey in a storybook. We don't know what will happen, so we must take a look. The Penguin Who Wanted to Fly. This story is by Catherine Vase. Flip-Flop sat on his favorite thinking rock and looked up at the sky. "I wish I could fly," he said to himself. Flip-Flop stood up. He looked down at his wings and flapped them. Nothing happened. Flip-Flop couldn't fly. That night, Flip-Flop had a dream. He dreamed he was flying. It was so quiet and peaceful up there in the starry sky. So, penguins are birds, but do they fly? Do penguins fly? They don't fly. The next morning, Flip-Flop had an idea. He would make himself some wings. "Can I help?" asked Polar Bear. Flip-Flop climbed on top of Polar Bear and flapped his wings. Flip-flap! Do you think that's going to work? Do you think moving those leaves as fast as he possibly can is going to make him fly? You can try that today. You can go outside and grab some leaves and flap them really, really fast and see if you start to fly. Flop. "Oops," said Flip-Flop. But it didn't matter. Flip-Flop had another idea. "Just the thing," said Flip-Flop as he pulled out his special helicopter cap from his dress-up trunk. What's he going to do now? Do you think he's going to go up, 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 up because he has a helicopter cap? He spun around and around and around and around and around and around, spinning faster and faster and faster and faster until he spun out of control. "Ouch!" cried Flip-Flop as he flopped to the ground. "I feel very dizzy." Dizzy is that feeling you feel when you're like, whoa, maybe mom and dad have spun you around in circles, or if you stand still and you spin, 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 are you going to feel like, oh, I'm good? Or are you going to feel like, whoa? That's how he felt because he spun around a lot. He felt dizzy. That night, it snowed. In the morning, Flip-Flop was very excited. He had thought of another idea. He would build an airplane out of snow. A snowplane. Flip-Flop was very pleased with himself as he climbed in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He waited for his snowplane to take off, and he waited. And he waited. Did his snowplane fly? Did his snowplane fly? Do you think it flew? No, it didn't fly. It's made out of snow. "Oh dear," Flip-Flop sighed as the sun came out and melted his snowplane. But it didn't matter. Flip-Flop had another idea. A better idea. He got a balloon and tied a piece of string to it. The balloon floated upward, and so did Flip-Flop. "I'm flying," said Flip-Flop excitedly. "I am really flying." And he was until, what do you think happens next? Pop went the balloon. Flop went Flip-Flop. Poor Flip-Flop. "I'm never gonna fly," he cried. Polar Bear gave his friend a hug. "Come with me," he said. Polar Bear gave Flip-Flop a gentle push down their favorite slide. Whoosh! Flip-Flop whizzed down the ice. Now he's sliding. What kind of friend is Polar Bear to encourage him and say, "It's okay, let's do this instead"? That's a good friend. "Whee! I'm flying!" squealed Flip-Flop. But then, splash! "Help!" cried Flip-Flop as he crashed into the sea. He slid so high that he splashed into the water. It was very peaceful and quiet down there under the sea. There were lots of fish and other floaty things. "Wow," said Flip-Flop, "this is just like flying." Flip-Flop couldn't really fly, but that didn't matter because Flip-Flop could swim. In fact, he could swim quite beautifully. Boys and girls,